Okay, so I did a beat pack. It was 62 beats for $20, and as I put in my tweet, it did over 100 and something $1,000 in revenue,
God
which
damn.
was yeah. And so for everyone that was in 2020 telling me not to do it, I was looking at those PayPal and Stripe notifications like I won't do it, another year.
Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community. And I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. MIDI producer, everyone knows MIDI, everyone loves MIDI. But Ellipsi is brand new, at least to the MEC. So I appreciate you coming on here and sitting in the hot seat while I ask the hard questions.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know why you decided to come on here, especially after the mini interviews. Those are let's just jump right into it. I don't know much about you, Ellipsi. This is actually the first time we've interacted that wasn't yet. What's your musical background? I feel like you have a pretty deep musical background.
Yeah, so I've been making music in some capacity or another my entire life. Been in choirs, done things like performed in bands and like on stage for my school, things like that. But I didn't actually start producing until quarantine. So I've been doing this for about 2 years.
Just 2 years, then.
Mm-hmm.
How many instruments do you play? I've seen pictures of the studio, and I've seen multiple instruments strewn about the room.
Yes, so I play piano, guitar, bass, and then drums.
What was that like being I imagine you're classically trained?
Yes.
What was it like transitioning from being a classically trained musician to making beats? I mean, they're different realms.
It's hard to say really. Like, it's kind of seamless. Like, I started making music on my own, trying to learn like my DAW during the quarantine. So it was probably like 6 months I spent trying to figure out how to use Logic. And like that transition, like trying to get it from like performing live to performing digitally and getting that all to sound right was difficult and kind of discouraging, to be honest. I almost gave up a few times, but once I kind of got the knack for it, it's just been, I don't know, like seamless. But there was definitely a learning curve. I'll be honest about that. Like it took me a while to be able to get comfortable on my DAW.
Okay, well, we're on the subject. We already have people screaming Logic Gang in the chat. What made you, I'm always curious, what about people's DAW choices, what made you go with Logic?
Honestly, it was a complete, I had no idea what I was doing. So like when I have a Mac and I thought I needed to use Logic because I couldn't get FL to work. So I just like suffered through trying to figure out how to use Logic. And then it became a bad choice because I was comfortable with it.
And it's not a bad choice. You're not making a pain one decision. We're not going to go there. So when did you become a full-time producer after this 2 year? I mean, I'm blown away by the fact that it's only been 2 years.
Yeah. So I lost my job during quarantine, and I just kind of dove headfirst into the music world. I started by selling services, like I did voice tags and things like that, and then I just kind of transitioned into selling. I would sell I would record my guitar and sell that like as a loop. So I mean, I kind of dove in as a full-time producer right away. But like I said, it was because I didn't have any other source of income and kind of just needed to do something to make an income.
Oh my God. So I have a ton of questions now. What was the previous job?
I worked, I was running an oncology clinic. I was a pharmacy technician. So I worked in pharmacy for about 8 years prior to losing my job.
Okay, that's one of those safe professions.
Yeah, well, I was pregnant, so I was one of the ones because I was working in with chemotherapy, like cytotoxic drugs. They asked me to kind of step down from my position at the time.
Damn. Yeah, I guess it puts things into perspective that you can go from, pharmaceutical technology to beat making during the time of a pandemic. and that becomes the new financially stable income source.
Yeah, it really was. It was just like I think it was mainly because of my presence on Twitter. I had been building that up. I think I started my account in January 2020, and so I built all this in the last 2 years.
I think Twitter is underrated. Both you and Minnie really prove that, and I guess me to an extent. All three of us are pretty Twitter active. I don't know about the two of you. I feel like, Minnie, did you ever take a break from Twitter? I think I took a break from Twitter. Yeah, probably around the same time, right?
Yeah,
like it felt like it died out for
Yeah.
like a good solid year and a half. It felt dead, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I did take a long break and then came back.
Yeah, and so now it's a career changing platform. Yeah, and Made by Glitch is saying now Instagram feels kind of dead. Well, you know, Facebook tends to do that to social media platforms at times, but I feel like Instagram's still pretty active, and you know, even Facebook is still pretty active. But we'll see what happens with Twitter now that it's under new ownership. Yeah, Reels. That's something new. That's like a social media stimulus, and Minnie talked about that last time. Actually, I want to follow up on that with you.
Okay.
Regarding Reels. Okay, so what were some of the steps you took to transition into being a full-time producer? To do that out of necessity and basically under duress is not typical. I wouldn't say. You were forced to become a full-time producer. You had to make money off of beats. What would you say were the most important steps that you took to actually make that a reality?
Well, so I already knew like what skill I was going to use. And then really what it was a lot of research into figuring out what communities I needed to get involved in and who the big players were. So I sat back from January to about June, just watching and following people and watching which accounts got traction, which ones, like what posts seemed to work, which posts didn't, they just kind of flopped. And I just took note of everything that people were doing and kind of made, probably around June, I started experimenting with my own posts and just watching the data. And, a lot of people will say things like, oh, don't get caught up in the numbers. Numbers don't matter. Some people say, oh, numbers are everything. But the reality is, like, numbers do matter, but they only matter in the sense that they help you gauge like how effective you're being on a platform and what you need to change. And there's a lot of things that, I don't know, like so part of my job when I was working in pharmacy was marketing. So I already had like an experience in that area. So, just combining that skill set that I already had with like the mobile platform and being on just like, paying attention to what was working, what wasn't, what trends were coming up, and noticing what was working on other platforms and just kind of taking all of that, putting it into a nice bow and then going out there and trying things. So I think one of the most important things is to be observant. Like you have to be observant and you have to be willing to take a risk. I already knew that I was good at making music. So it was really just a matter of getting myself out there and figuring out how to break through the algorithm.
You said something I think that's really important, which is community.
Yes.
For both of you, I feel as though both of you are creating community yourselves. But I'd like to ask both of you the question, how did you incorporate yourself into other communities to build your brand as producers early on? I'll give this question to Minnie first and then Ellipsi second.
So for me, kind of like what Ellipsi said, observing, and I kind of feel like a dinosaur because I've kind of been on Twitter for a really long time, so it's hard to like remember.
Yeah, who are you selling?
When I immersed myself into Twitter, because I've had like a few moments, but like I would get posted by other people because I would just be tweeting and stuff like that. So I don't know, like I just put out content that people like. It's harder for me because I feel like I've been on Twitter for a minute. You know, like I've been mini producer for several years now, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint. I always feel like I'm evolving when it comes to building up my community and just doing new things. I guess now I've just been posting more like of the videos I've talked about before of me like vibing out to my beats, and now more so sharing more of what I'm doing because I didn't really used to share what I was doing. I just kind of felt like I was bragging. Like I didn't like to be like, yeah, I did this really cool thing. Like, and so now sharing that, I realized that it actually helps other producers. So I guess that helps me build a community in some sort. And then I just interact with different folks, but I'm not super active in other people's tweets, I guess. Like I don't look for people and be like, let me tweet at this person. I don't know. That's just not me personally. I kind of know the people I like to interact with and stick to the same types of people. So my tweets just kind of find themselves on other people's pages somehow. But yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but that's where I'm at.
Well, Ellipsi, you said specifically that you were researching communities in which to incorporate yourself early on. What did that look like for you, and what did you learn from that?
Well, and honestly, it started with just going to songs that I liked and going through the credits and then looking those people up on social media and just following them and watching their accounts and seeing like what it was that was working. I followed a couple different marketing accounts, and I never stayed within like just producer Twitter or just music Twitter. I would follow accounts that offered me like not insider information, but like tips on marketing or on copywriting or on different aspects of like like the business side of things. And I think that's an area where a lot of people, they make the mistake of just engaging with people who are musicians or just people who are doing what they're doing. And for me, the key to my success was branching out and interacting with people who were doing other things, people who were leading their own business, entrepreneurs, people who, were part of startups and founders. And, when Clubhouse was a thing, I really dove into that, and I interacted with people like Busy Work Beats and people like that. I just really went out there and found people who were doing the thing that made it successful and not just doing the music. So yeah, that would be my biggest tip, is interacting outside of the music community.
And did that inform the way you brand yourself as a producer? Because I feel like you're very community minded to the point that you have, that you manage other producers. You created a community around yourself in a very short period of time.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I'm a mother, and I've done a lot of teaching in my years here. So I kind of naturally gravitate towards roles like that anyway. I didn't find like one niche community to like put myself into exactly. So I just kind of built around what I was good at and found other people who may have been struggling in that area and offered a little bit of support.
So here's a question from Victorious. Did you like your day job more in the pharmaceutical tech industry, or do you like what you're doing now more?
Oh, I definitely like what I'm doing now more. I mean, I worked really hard at that job, and at the time it was something I was really proud of, but I'm really grateful for what I have now. It enables me to be home with my kids and kind of be like an active part of their life, and not just like, dropping them off and picking them up and rushing through life. So it's definitely, I feel really blessed to be in the position that I'm in now.
So obviously you spoke on at least marketing on a surface level, and how you sought out basically social media communities that could provide marketing mentorship, maybe not structured mentorship or formal mentorship per se, but you could glean marketing information and learn that. Both of you are really adept at marketing, and then that's a focus of your respective producer brands. What were some of the mistakes and misconceptions you made with regards to marketing when you first started?
I need to think about that for a second.
Okay, Minnie, it's all you.
Okay, so like Ellipsi was talking about, I definitely would say I at first just kind of focused on being a producer only. And I, at the time that I started, there really wasn't a big discussion about like how to market yourself in like a bunch of videos as there are now. And once I started, like, you mentioned branching myself out, like looking at e-commerce and other people that were not related to music, is when I found a lot more success in my own business, because I'm looking at people that are doing 6, 7, 8 figures. And as we know, Payne, we talked about this, it's a small percentage in our personal online music producer industry. Like, not a lot of people are able to say, like, this is how I made this. I mean, now we're getting more of that, but like at the time, I didn't see any of that. Like, there was no one, like a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, the biggest mistake, kind of like what Ellipsi said, was just like focusing on just being a producer and not looking at the business aspect and really thinking of myself like a business person and not just a creative. But once I got out of that, it definitely helped me like take things more seriously about my brand, and learning how to put out content, what kind of content to put out, what do people react to, better, and really studying and looking at my analytics, which I sound like a preacher, but I tell everyone that look at your analytics. Like, it's not about your feelings. It's not about how you feel. Like, oh, I feel like this is the beat of the day. If it's, people are going to tell you if it's not. If it, it is what it is. And so I think, like I said before, like taking out the emotion, because I was definitely much more emotional about my work and my stuff, which I think we all are as creatives, but I definitely was like, what do you mean this isn't good? Like, y'all don't know what really, you know what I mean? But like, I had to take that out of there. And so once I did that, it definitely helped me make better decisions and just focusing on how to grow my business and studying, what's working and what's not.
Yeah, I wonder if any of the out of all the people in the chat right now, who remembers when online producers were kind of mysterious? Like we didn't know what vibe beats looked like for like 12 years.
That's so true. And Payne, quick question. Do you think when you get the chance, can you bring up the question someone asked about they have a disability and they want to know how to work about beats? So I can answer that later. I just don't want you to miss it.
That's a hell of a
question.
Once
Ellipsi answers it, her question, I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, we're we'll go back to the it's a financial question, and May is, I think, is it May or is it April? Whatever. We're gonna stay on the financial literacy topic. But Ellipsi, how about you? What were some either misconceptions or mistakes that you had early on in your career, which I guess was only like a year and a half ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't really consider anything that I did a mistake, because obviously I learned from everything that I did do, and I didn't go into it with a strategy. My strategy was to figure it out on the way, and I think that ended up serving me well. What I can say is what I notice a lot of other people doing that may be a mistake is focusing too much on like their ratio, or like getting too hung up on like not like being like picky about who they follow or allow to follow them, or who they engage with, or who they accept engagement from. A lot of people are, I find there to be a lot of like cliques in the producer community, and it was hard breaking through each one of those, and really, I mean, in terms of my success, like breaking through and actually engaging with and forming genuine relationships with people inside of these cliques was very difficult to do, because a lot of them were closed off to like even responding. Some people won't even respond to you. And I think a lot of people get discouraged by that, but just continuing to be yourself and to get out there and to like, if you want your name to be known in some type of a community, you have to be on there all the time, putting your name out there, whether it's by putting content or pushing other people's content, or just being an active member of the community. And I think a lot of people are afraid to leave comments, or they'll only like and retweet, or sometimes they won't retweet at all, or they find sharing other people's content to be something that's like going to take away from what they're doing. And I think it's important that people break out of that mindset and realize that by sharing and supporting and being genuine with other people, you are actually pushing your brand forward as well.
That's an interesting point. Let's go back to this question and let me find it. It's by Tommy Jones. Tommy Jones produces and has a disability and wants to know how you work around beat sales and keeping your benefits. Hey, you want to answer this?
Yo, I've been waiting for this day because I never get to. No one's ever asked this question, so that's why I'm super excited. So
Dope.
obviously I won't go into it too far because the government's watching. But what I will say is that in regards for me personally, and again, I can only speak from my experience, so don't be hitting me up like I did this. And anyway, so I called them. I mean, because I said, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not trying to lose my insurance, so because I'm disabled, so I'm gonna need that insurance, buddy. And so I just told them what I was doing. I have a certain amount that they know that I'm paying myself, and so I'm able to keep my benefits. It's a slippery slope because I mean, it's just hard. I mean, it's kind of hard to answer because nobody talks about it for reasons. Like I'm probably doing a lot, but I don't care. It is what it is. But I just called them. I told them what I was doing. They know how much I pay myself per month. My goal is honestly not to even be on with benefits anymore because I just want to get an insurance plan for myself. But insurance is not inexpensive, especially if you don't have like a 9 to 5 that comes with insurance. So that's been my only kind of figuring out type of thing because I need a good insurance plan, which is why I've still kept my benefits because I get insurance. But I would just say making sure you're calling. If you're making enough, then kind of let them know like, hey, this is how much I'm going to pay myself because they will keep track of that. And there's a certain amount that you can pay yourself where they won't cut you off. And there's also accounts too called like a stable account where you can put money aside. So I have a business account and a personal account, so everything is separate. And apparently, they're not supposed to look at your business account, according to them. So but yeah, I mean that's what I've done so far. And again, just communicating with them is the biggest thing that I would say to do because you just don't want to get caught in a moment. But yeah, I mean. That was a good question to answer because I feel like I might be the first one to have answered that because I've never seen anyone talk about how you work around that. But that's how I work around it. And it's been fine for me thus far.
Do you have an accountant?
Not yet, but I am going to be getting one. I'm going to be getting a lot of things. I've learned, had a lot of experiences that I definitely am going to be getting an accountant. But like Tommy was saying, it is tough to be disabled and also have a business in any capacity that you're making money because at least for me, the balance is like having insurance because with a business, I mean, I know you can get like insurance plans, but like for someone like me, or if you have a lot of disabilities, like you can't just go with a basic plan. So it gets pricier as, as you keep going. So that's what I would say. Call them. See how much you can pay yourself. They'll let you know, and and look into stable accounts as well. There are restrictions for that, but I mean, it is a good way to at least put money aside. They do take out fees, but I used it for a temporary amount of time, and also have a business account and personal account because you can't have a savings account.
Chris Kane is in here thinking he's joking about all these kind of evasive tax maneuvers. I'm like, I think that's legal. Don't quote me on it, but I think that's legal. So look it up. But get an accountant. This is above my pay grade. This is not financial advice. This is just what we do. Okay, great. So let's switch gears to another interesting topic regarding identity. So I'll be direct with my question. What type of misogynist bullshit have you experienced as you've built your producer brand?
It sucks. Being a female in this industry is there's a fine line between getting respect and just completely being disrespected and not taken seriously. It's been really frustrating. And I found, obviously, people know that I don't only post beats, like I post pictures as well. And part of the reason I post that is because it's the type of content that my followers like to engage with. And that's part of the game, is by posting things that your following wants to engage with. But I will say that it frustrates me to no end that people make all kinds of assumptions about me based on my appearance.
So what advice do you give non-male producers in this space?
You have to have tough skin, and you kind of have to decide ahead of time, what you want to align your brand with. And by that, I mean, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with people who want to go and post, pictures and kind of have their appearance be very attached to their brand. I do that, but it is a fine line between, I'm just kind of dancing around this subject here, but I got a lot of opportunities presented to me based on my appearance alone. And I haven't taken any because to me, my music is more important, and I've kind of been drifting away from posting pictures. But yeah, you need to have tough skin, and you need to kind of know ahead of time how you want to be identified, because it's a slippery slope down into people just treating you like trash and sending you a lot of male part pictures in your DMs.
That happens regardless, though, right? I mean, if you're a woman on social media, the dick is going to be in the inbox, right?
It's in the inbox. It's in the inbox.
Okay.
It's in the email. It's in the everything. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I guess gotta stop that shit, guys. So, God, I had a point. We started talking about dick pics. Man. Yeah, I would hate that. You tweeted something kind of ambiguous recently that said, this isn't a direct quote. This isn't what you said verbatim, but you said something to the extent of, there have been a lot of opportunities that I've turned down for moral reasons. Is that kind of what you were alluding to?
Definitely. I won't lie, there have been a couple people that are higher up that are pretty well known that have approached me. But when I went down that path a little bit, the reasoning behind them approaching me was clearly for something other than just my music. And it's one of those things where it's like it's hard to even know what people's intentions are these days. So I just kind of stick to my own and make my own opportunities. But yeah, I've turned down a lot of opportunities because I could tell like they cared more about how I look than about the music. Some of them hadn't even listened to my music. So
yeah, and that's already an issue in the music business. I mean, you were posting DMs of people calling you bro, and jumping in your DM, hey bro, I sell beats, and it's like, she's a woman and she makes beats. What are you doing? So then I can imagine this is an additional layer of frustration and time wasting when the people, this super thirsty misogynist come for you in the DMs.
Yeah, there's a lot of time wasted. I spend a lot of time sorting through. I mean, at this point, I can hardly keep up with my DMs and notifications anyway, but it becomes really frustrating to have to sort through and try to pick apart and figure out who's actually serious about working with me and who just wants me to fly down and do whatever in their studio. Like, I'm good. I'll pass that one up.
Boy. So let's talk about selling beats and beat sales. Minnie, I believe you have a beat sale happening right now.
Yeah. Yes. Was that going to be a question? Did I interrupt? Sorry.
Well, yeah, you just said yeah and kind of drawn that way.
I was agreeing.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, because I saw it's a pinned tweet. Tell me about that and how you decided to create that type of sale and what the timing was on that sale.
Okay, so in regards to that, I mean, it goes back to what I was talking about, my analytics, and I had done something like that before, and it did really well. And something that I've started to notice just as I've been selling beats for a while, is the type of like demographic that I typically work with, and I have a lot of conversations with artists, so you get to learn about artists and, most artists' financial situations and stuff like that. And so I've now come to a point where I've really wanted to like be a person that serves the artist community. And I realized, because I know I put a tweet out like that I'd sold like 30 something beats this month, which is true. Is that like a lot of people wanted my beats but couldn't afford it at the price that I wanted. And I know people feel differently about that. Like, well, you know, don't change your price, change your clientele and all that other stuff. But like the thing is for me, I just looked at my analytics and the analytics said like, hey, you did this and it still did well. And something that I like to note is that even if you start at a lower price point doesn't mean that people are going to buy at that price point. Like it's just an option. Like even in the beat sales that I've made, people aren't just buying that option. Like I've sold my checkout leases, which are like 200, and then my wave lease, which is like 30. So I mean, not everybody's jumping for joy over it's just there as an option, and it's honestly opened my eyes because it's allowed artists that have wanted to create or just new people. Like I've had people this month buy like 11 beats or like 9 beats. And I'm like, yo, like where, you know, and so I get it though, because my price before was like $50. If you wanted to buy 11 beats, I mean, that's like 500 something dollars, which, you know, to some people is a lot of money. I mean, to me, shoot, I mean, you know, like I'm not necessarily shelling out 500 on things unless I really want it. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it was more so a timing thing. It was just like, am I going to do this? Okay, we're going to start in May and see what happens. And looking at the analytics have told me, well, this is nice. You know, I'm feeling this. So yeah, it was really more an analytics thing. And I've gotten some really good feedback from people this month that have purchased beats and been able to. And that's honestly been more of a satisfying feeling than just focusing on the money part, because, you know, it's worked out for me. And I've made money selling beats. I guess, I don't know if anyone can relate, but I just feel like when you achieve certain financial goals for yourself, like the money becomes less of like a thing, I guess. Like I've been successful selling beats online. So now I'm just really focused on impact, and this is one of the ways I've been able to do it in my own business, you know, and not everyone has to go change their price to what I changed it to or do the sales that I do, but it's just what works for me, and, you know, I'm cool.
So what are some ways that you interact with your customers? Because, you know, granted, and Rock 5 Beats is asking, you know, about which demographics and audiences you pay attention to. But there are those numbers, and that's, you know, the quantitative data. But then qualitatively, you're getting information from people via what, conversations? How
yeah,
are you?
I mean, I have phone conversation, not all the time. Now, don't hit me up and say, "Can we talk on the phone?" Because I'm not talking to everybody on the phone. But I mean, I have developed relationships with artists who talk to, like, we talk. I ask questions, and I think that's something that's been super helpful for my business, is to ask questions like, "Hey, you know, how does this go? Like, how does the beat selling process?" Like, because I don't know, I don't buy beats. You know what I mean? And so I just listen to artists and I observe too. Like, I see what artists talk about. I hear conversations that artists have with me and other experiences that they've had buying beats and what their struggles are. And the reality is, a lot of artists, you know, I said this in a video I put out, but a lot of times I feel like in the producer community, we sometimes use these, like, I would say, kind of manipulative tactics to, like, get artists to buy our stuff. Like, if you're serious, you'll buy beats, or if you're, you know what I mean? And I'm serious about buying groceries, but I can't spend $1,000 right now on getting, you know what I mean? I got a budget, you know? And so I think that shaping, like, switching that kind of narrative where artists know, like, when you buy beats from me, you know, you got options, and it doesn't have to feel like, oh, I'm not a serious artist because I can't afford, you know, $50 for a lease right now. Or, and then the last thing I want to say, because I don't want to take over the conversation, is like, I just noticed that, like, a lot of artists would be waiting until they got their paycheck to buy beats. And, like, for me personally, it felt kind of weird. Like, I just didn't want someone to be waiting to get their paycheck to buy beats for me. Like, that was just kind of, I don't know. I just feel like there's other things I want them to use their check for, to, like, live. And it just didn't rock right with me, only me, but like, it is, everybody's different. And it's just, like I said, made me feel better that artists have been able to access my beats in a way that they may not have before due to my other pricing. And I'm okay with it. Like, I've come to terms with, I'm cool with it. It's working out for me financially, and I'm good with it.
Yeah, it is interesting. The sales bring a lot of people out of the woodwork, and then I think even to an extent the sales will get you feedback themselves, just seeing who responds to those sales. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, definitely. And I know Rockfar was asking about the demographics and stuff like that. I just looked just briefly. I just looked at the statistics of, like, it's a lot deeper. I made a whole video. You can check out my YouTube channel, but just talked about the statistics of, like, what certain people get paid and stuff like that. So just a lot of things factored into that, and I realized that that price point would be helpful to most people that I worked with, and that's just what's worked for me. I mean, I can't say that if you switch your price right now to a lower price, people are going to start buying them up. Like, I can't promise that, but it just depends on you. You have to kind of make your bed and lay in it, whatever you decide to do for your own business, because it is yours, and you're the captain of your own ship. So do whatever you want to, or what you don't want to.
You're right. Yeah, we can talk about that too. Here's a question from someone with a French name. How do you advertise your sales? Because I know both of you are active on Twitter, and I know you have email lists, but what are some ways that the two of you, and Minnie first, because I have a question specifically for Ellipsi next.
Okay.
What are some ways that you advertise your sales and allow your customers to become aware of them?
So I would say that my email list has been great. I love the fact that with BeatStars, you can download, like, your customer list, and I'm using Klaviyo. I don't know how to pronounce it. The email platform, because I was using GetResponse, but I really like using Klaviyo right now. And I've just imported those people into my list, like my customers that I've gotten, and I separated them by year. And then starting at like 2020, I didn't go extremely far back. I might look further, but anyway, I use my email list. Social media as well is helpful. Something that's been cool is, like, I don't really focus as much as, like, always telling people about my beats. I don't really have to at this point, which is a good place to be. But, like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I got this sale. Like, you'll see me make videos, but typically I'm just putting out content. Like, people know I make beats. My name's Mini Producer, so I mean, it's like I'm either making beats or a movie, and take your pick. So I mean, I just put out my content, people see me there, and yeah, the email list is golden though. I love email lists, especially when you get those customers. It's really helpful. And I've done the free beats route. I haven't done that in a long time, but I did do free beats. It can take a little bit longer, but you can get sales from free beats. I know people ask that all the time. And if you just have like a email automation system or whatever that can help you get sales with free beats as well. There's many ways to build up your email list. You just gotta figure out what works for you. But yeah, you got an email last week. That's right, Universal. I know you did. So anyway, but yeah, so that's how I do it. I got off track because someone's on my email list. But yeah, people know I send out the emails, and I do the social media, and there I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to BusyWorks. So Ellipsi, you have a subscription service. Tell me about that. What made you launch a subscription service when that's not really a typical move for beat makers?
Similar reasoning to Minnie. I wanted to do something to make beats more accessible to people at all times, rather than just having them in a position where they have to wait until they're able to afford just one, or wait for like a sale. Because I do know with a lot of these artists, being able to hop on something right away is important, especially if they're feeling inspired. And I wanted to do something different. I don't usually lower my prices too much. My prices are my prices, but I do offer like with the subscription service or plan that I have, I offer it that way. And I also offer payment plans. So if people want to split their payments into 2 or 3 or 4 or even 6, like I'll work with them around that and get them a custom plan.
Wait a minute. Pause. How do you do that? Because that would be really helpful. For me, this is a selfish question. What has been the easy way for you to create payment plans for beats? And Kiana Killing Them, which is a dope name, asked the same thing, so I'm not the only one.
So right now there's no, at least from what I've seen, there's no really easy way to do it. You have to do it off platform. So I use a service called PandaDoc where I craft up my payment plan agreements. And then you essentially can so the people I can link or show like the type of contracts that I do, but essentially we figure out what type of payment plan you want, whether you want to pay every other week or once a month or whatever it is. And we figure out what the terms are going to be. And then I just essentially use Stripe and set up an automated withdrawal for whatever the terms are. And all the terms are kind of included into that. So it just automatically comes out for them and whatever schedule works for them.
And how have you found success advertising the subscription service?
So it's all been word of mouth, to be honest. I don't put a lot of effort into, I don't want to come across like an ad because, ads are kind of annoying. So it's all just been word of mouth. So the people that shop with me regularly, they're the ones that kind of do most of my advertising for me.
Okay. How do you strike a balance between running a business, which obviously entails advertising and marketing, and not being some annoying spam feedback machine?
Twitter. By being on Twitter. And my name is not Mini Producer. I don't have producer in my name at all, but people know me well enough. And usually, like, if I get my face out there enough, people will click and they'll see what I do. And usually it leads to some type of a sale. I make sales almost every day at this point.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So I think it's safe to say you've built your business on the understanding that multiple income streams is the right model for you.
Yes.
Because some people, I think maybe we can go back to talking about beat marketing mistakes. I think for some people, and I'm jealous of those people, they can make 100% of their income. And they're making a lot of it. I mean, when you look at the Dillies and the Danny EB tracks, then they're posting, $1 million plus in beat sales, gross beat sales, just off of the BeatStars platform. Great, that's amazing. I would love to be in that position. However, a lot of people see that and they think, well, if I can't do it this way, then I can't do it. You're approaching it differently, right?
Yes.
How many different income streams? Well, I guess list some of them. What are some of the ways that you create income for yourself within the music business, but not without just selling beats? Obviously, selling beats online is one stream.
Yep. So I make the traditional sales off the BeatStars platform. Then I make manual sales through Twitter, and then I also sell services like I prep documents for people if they want help getting payment plans set up, or if they want custom documents for their business. Because I can, I customize those as well. So I put together little packages like that for them. I do voice tags, hooks, things like that. Like just basically anything that I can do, anything that I do currently for myself, I make available for other people for a small fee. Even when it comes to managing their social media accounts, or offering coaching, or offering like strategy meetings, things like that. Like whatever it is that I've done, I offer as a service.
Got it. And where would you say most of your beat sales come from in terms of traffic sources?
Twitter. Yep. Before I even made a sale on BeatStars, usually I make the sale on Twitter first and then link them to my BeatStars.
And that's just through networking? I mean, what kinds of conversations start that tend to result in a sale?
Honestly, there's no one way, there's no one conversation. A lot of people they either, they've heard of me or they've heard my music but a lot of them come from just conversation, people wanting to support me or people wanting to see what I'm all about. And then they hear my music and then it kind of just proceeds from there. Custom beats as well. That's something I get a lot. But yeah, I would say just about any conversation can turn into a sale if you're talking to the right person.
Got it. So it's not necessary for you to have a huge YouTube following with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views.
Nope. I think I have like a YouTube by default, but I don't upload to it and I don't use it.
Got it. Minnie, on my last stream, someone asked if I think this is an ongoing conversation, if a certain genre of beat sold better than others. For example, does a pop beat sell better than a trap beat, for example? What has been your experience?
For me, I mean, I'm primarily known for a lot of trap beats. That's just kind of how I started out. Now I've been branching myself out more, and I've noticed that people, like, when they buy beats, they get a mixture of stuff. So my stuff is still primarily like hip hop or trap that people purchase, but I mean, I've been using my beats for other things too. Like, I don't know if you saw Pain, but I did have a beat featured in a Corona social media ad that someone did, and it wasn't a trap beat. It was like my version of reggaeton or whatever. So I've noticed that, like, I use my beats, like my other genre based beats typically go to like other opportunities, but I mean, yeah, right. I wouldn't say there's like one genre that's like, it just depends on you. Like, if you're known for pop beats, you're probably gonna, but if you are known for trap beats, you're probably gonna sell a lot of trap beats, but like, you just never know. Like, sometimes I'll sell beats that I do something kind of weird and new and people will buy it. I'll be like, okay, like that worked out. But yeah, I mean, my main sellers are like hip hop or trap. But people buy other stuff from me because I make different kinds of beats. I'm just primarily known for that genre when people work with me.
We spoke about the guaranteed placement scam in our last conversation.
Yeah.
Direct question: have either of you been scammed?
No, I haven't been. I was trying to think about it. Like, I can't think of a scam that I've had in regards to placements. Nah.
Just in general, in the music business, there are many different scam options.
Oh, yeah. One time, I'm not going to lie to y'all, because I've been seeing this go. I guess people are back at it again. So, like, someone was like, yeah, I'm ready to buy a beat. And then they were like, oh, do you have this code? And I fell into the trap, y'all. This is a little while ago. I'm not proud, but it happened, and so I see it's coming back around. Don't fall for that trap. Don't give them the code. Someone bought a pizza in like the UK out of my account. I don't know how much money they thought I had going, you know what I mean? But they got the pizza, so I hope it was good. And then I had to change my password. But that's what happened to me. But I guess that's the only scam I suppose I've had so far.
And that's the PayPal scam where they say, I'm having trouble with the PayPal, just send me the code, and then they end up getting into your account.
Yeah.
Ellipsi, you shook your head, never been scammed?
No, I haven't been scammed, but they've tried. They definitely have tried.
What are some scams that are popular nowadays in the scammer community?
Probably like the blog placement. I had one that like when I first started my Twitter account where somebody was collecting money saying like, oh, we'll do a write-up for you and put it on WorldStar, but like they weren't doing that. They were just collecting the money and then blocking people. That one I saw a lot of people with that one, but yeah, no, I haven't fallen for any scams yet.
Yeah, they are everywhere. Someone stole my identity recently. We were talking about that on the last stream, and they created a TJ Payne one Instagram, like a copycat Instagram full of misspellings, and they were charging $50 for YouTube promo. I'm like, this is everything I have positioned myself against. in my 15 years as DJ paying one. So hopefully no one fell for it. But there were people talking to me in the inbox saying, "Hey, this is this person asking for money here." Well, glad you haven't gotten scammed. But what happened with the PayPal scam, Minnie? How did you resolve that? So they just drained your account and bought pizza?
No, I mean, they didn't drain it. They just bought a pizza and then I changed my password. So I mean, they only got a pizza. But I I still laugh about that because I feel like that happened like 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, that happened to me, and yeah, they got a pizza. I think from Domino's, and they live somewhere else in the world. And I think I was more sad because I didn't get pizza. They could have thought of me. You know what I mean? They could have been like, yo, I'm going to get a pizza, but I'll send you some too, So, like, it's my money. You know what I mean? But it worked out. And then I think I got my money back, though, because I think PayPal was smart enough to know that, like, why would I be buying pizza and some other, like, I ain't been there. But, yeah, I do think I got my money back from that occurrence. But, that's what happened. So.
People from America buy pizza for Londoners all the time.
Yeah, I guess so. I was one of them. I guess helping.
Yeah, especially Domino's. Shout out to everyone in the UK that I bought.
Yeah, shout out to Domino's.
So, Minnie, let's talk about this 2020 beat pack. I know that it's old news.
Yeah.
But, you've been tweeting about it lately.
Yeah, I have.
And what? Give us a rundown. What was in that pack? How did you price it?
Okay, so I did a beat pack. It was 62 beats for $20. And as I put in my tweet, it did over $100 and something $1,000 in revenue, which was, yeah. And so for everyone that was in 2020 telling me not to do it, I was looking at those PayPal and Stripe notifications like, I won't do it, another year. But no, real stuff. Yeah, I did that beat pack. And honestly, it kind of came out of like, I met a lot of cool artists during that moment on it. And I did have placements with like, I had Tiffany Evans on a song because of that beat pack, Young LA on a song because of that beat pack. So it worked out for me. And as I told everybody about the beat pack, I'm not saying that will happen to you. It happened to me. And that's all I can say. I'm not promising you that anything good will come of it or you'll get money or anything. So for me, I did that beat pack and, it was cool. The only reason it kind of slowed down for me is I've talked about this, but my Facebook accounts got shut down, and having a disability is interesting because people don't know how to act in the comments. And especially when you go viral, like my video did 1.3 million views. And for a Facebook ad, that's a lot of views, and so that like a lot of the negativity, and then my account got shut down, and then it just kind of, I wasn't feeling it as much. So the beat pack it just did what it did. But I did that beat pack for like 6 months and it did well, obviously, from what I just noted. But I learned a lot of lessons in that, though. If you're going to make a lot of money, have financial literacy as a thing, because I didn't know how to manage that money. I was
you went out and you pulled a deal. You got a bump in and bought some boats and some. I
was getting gifts for like birthday gifts I hadn't gotten from my parents ever, and like
sending pizzas to the UK.
I was getting, and so I learned a lot of lessons in that moment, because like you can make a lot of money, but keeping it is the important part, and that's something that I didn't do at that time. And so I learned a lot from that experience since 2020, but it was cool to see like how different ways that you can make money in the online space, and what you can do and how different products work. And yeah, with the 62 beat pack, I did have upsells, so it wasn't just $20. Like you could buy other things that were more expensive on top of that. I used ClickFunnels at the time. Everyone's heard of ClickFunnels. This was prior to like, I guess, Legion or whatever, Beats, or like I had been doing beat packs prior to that. That's just the beat pack that went viral. And so yeah, that's what happened. And like I said, it worked out for me at the time, and that's what I did.
Well, let me ask you this: if you were going to do something like that today in 2022, how would you do it differently?
So even now, ironically, that you said that, like I think a lot of it for me is just money management because like when I started seeing stuff popping off, I started spending a lot in ads. I'm talking about like $900 a day, which was ridiculous because I got not ridiculous. I just got a little crazy, and so I think if I did it now, I would have managed my budget a little more and still stuck to it. Because you know, if stuff starts drying up or you just don't know what happens. So I would definitely manage my money better should it have like really started to pop up again. Yeah, see, Universal Soul King knows the beat pack was the start of a lot of things at that time. So yeah, I definitely I would say also managing like file delivery and stuff like that because I had to sign up for like every like Mediafire, Dropbox, you know, Mega, whatever. Like I signed up to everything because once you get to a certain point, you know, I had thousands of artists on my email list that I had to keep up with, and then customer service would be important. Like I ended up like hiring my girlfriend later on because I was like, yo, I can't keep up with all these people. Like I wasn't expecting this, and so yeah, I would say customer service, file management, and financial literacy would be something I would definitely like keep in mind now. Should I do that in that capacity?
Well, yeah, you can do that you can do albums on BeatStars now.
Yeah, I have it. I'm using the album right now for the first time, y'all, for something else. But I'm excited because I hadn't used that feature before.
Yeah, and that's helpful because you can have, you know, different license levels for the entire album. Ellipsi, I mean, well, both of you, this is a question for both of you, but I'm going to ask Ellipsi first. Both of you collaborate a lot. You've collaborated with each other, but you've collaborated with teams of producers and instrumentalists and vocalists. What has collaboration taught you about the music business?
Well, I guess what it's taught me is if you want to go far, like going with somebody that you trust is a really good move. I almost exclusively work with a producer in the community, Prod by Rick. He's somebody that I want to like shout out because he has helped me get to this point in terms of like developing my music. But yeah, having a team is the way to go. Like there's no shame in doing that. You don't have to do it alone. And doing it alone is very competitive, but when you open yourself up to collaboration and you're open to sharing the stage with other people, you find out that there's more than enough room for everybody at the table.
And Mitty, you've been collaborating more now.
Yeah, I definitely had periods of times with like I've collaborated with everyone, and then I just kind of don't collaborate, and then I like collaborate again. And so yeah, I mean, like Ellipsi was saying, like there is enough room for everyone, and I just enjoy collaborating with people. Now I'm kind of at a point where I am a little more selective because I have a lot of loops. Like it's honestly a little ridiculous. And there becomes a lot of expectations where like when people want to collaborate with you, they want you to like make those beats today as if you don't have other things going on. So I have had to kind of like back off a little because I know people want to collaborate, but I can't collaborate with every single person that reaches out to me, collaborate, and it's not anything personal. I just literally don't have the capacity to do it. And you know, but I do enjoy it, and I have people that I collaborate with more so on a regular basis, like Ellipsi, you know, you, and like people that I kind of look to collaborate with more just because I have different things in mind. But I do try to collaborate with like producers I haven't worked with before, but it has become a little bit harder because I just have a lot more going on outside of music and, you know, things like that. But I do my best. But if I don't get back to you, it's not personal. I probably just didn't see it, you know.
So unfortunately, this is the last question. How do people follow you? I know people are asking about your Twitter handles since we've been so heavily focused on Twitter, but throw in the Instagram as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading the comments and laughing. So I'm Ellipsi_music on Twitter and Ellipsi.music on Instagram.
I am mini producer. everywhere, and then Mini Producer Official on TikTok. And yeah, you can keep up with me. And thanks again, Payne, for putting this together. This is really dope.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course. Thank you both for being on here, and we have a lot of thank yous in the chat coming in. So shout out to everybody in the chat.